this opportunity to welcome respected members of the Central Organizing Committee, NextGen Tech 2024, Chief Patron Dr. Rituraj Saikia sir, President Eudoxia Research, Professor Dr. Celeb Mayo, Patron, Vice Chancellor, Eudoxia Research University. Sir, I have really enjoyed your presentation and lot of learnings. And of course, it has given me lot of inputs for my further reading. Dr. Dimitrios A. Karas from Greece, Dr. Edward Habrick Jr. from Arlington, USA, Dr. Rajesh Kunnur, Pro Vice Chancellor, Eudoxia Research University. Sir, it is pleasure to listen to you always. Dr. Sukhwinder Singh, Coordinator, Registrar, Eudoxia Research University, always smiling in all the times, and he's man for all the seasons. So I welcome you all. Dr. Ashish Baldania, Coordinator, Assistant Professor, LE College, Gujarat, a learned person who always keeps on evolving himself and presenting his works through the social media, through Eudoxia Research. Dr. Pritisha Kumari, Moderator, Vice President, brain behind all these things, I presume, and Dr. Mukti Srivastav, Moderator, as I understand, she is the youngest moderator. And with this, I take this opportunity to present my today's work or a research. And Namaste Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is one family, as we see in today's conference. Today's topic is an extension of my article, which is very recently published by Eudoxia in their Business Tycoon magazine about forensics. It was elementary. But today, I will deal with this after carrying out a thoroughly research, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. This is a topic, forensic sciences. Yes, of course, forensic sciences is an arm of medical sciences. Lot of research has happened from thousands of years. And what is it? As per Oxford Dictionary, forensic means relating or denoting the application of scientific methods and techniques of investigation of crime. Then word forensic comes from the Latin term forensics, meaning of or before the forum. The history of term originates from Roman times, during which a criminal charge meant for presenting the case before a group of public individuals in the forum. The ancient world lacked the standardized forensic practices which aided criminals in escaping punishment. That's the most important point which has to be noted. Criminal investigation and trials heavily relied on the forced confessions and witness testimony. It is against the principles of natural justice. In 16th century Europe, medical practitioners in army and university settings began to gather information on the cause and manners of the death. So that is how I support my statement. Yes, it is an arm of medical science. Origins. If we read forensic sciences, reference is found in Kautilya's Arthashastra, which was authored by Chanakya, which was written about 2300 years ago. Yes, my dear friends, it is really very age old. Forensic science is 2000 years. Indian studies various patterns of papillary lines thousands of years ago. It is presumed that they knew about the persistency and individuality of fingerprints, which they used as a signatures. Progress. If we see the progress, a method for detecting arsenic oxide, simple arsenic in corpus, was devised in 1773 by Swedish chemist Carl Wilhelm Stecheli. In 18th century, criminal investigation became more evidence-based, rational procedure. The use of torture to force confessions was curtailed. Again, I'm making a statement very careful. One has to go by principles of natural justice without applying torture for the confession. The French police officer Alfonso Belleton created an identification system based on physical measurements. Before that time, criminals could be identified by name and photograph. 1858, Sir William Herschel was one of the first advocate the use of fingerprinting in identification of criminal suspect. Yes, he was from Indian Civil Services. 1877, Hooghly near Calcutta, Institute for Fingerprints was established for contracts and deeds, and he registered the same gender government pensioners' fingerprints to prevent the collection of money by relatives after pensioner's death, which was fraudulent at that time also. Innovations. Let us see what are the innovations. Going in sync with today's theme of conference, a fingerprint bureau was established in Kolkata, in India, 1897 for classification of criminal records. So it is existing since 1897. DNA fingerprinting was first used in 1984. It was discovered by Sri Alec Jeffreys, who realized that a variation in genetic code be used to identify the individuals. By the turn of 20th century, the science of forensics had become largely established in the sphere of criminal investigation. Now, coming over to the criminal investigation, what are the various techniques being utilized? One of which we have heard and which we read and which we find on TV news is narco analysis test. Here, if you will see, a narco analysis test is going on. And what is narco analysis test? Let me explain you whatever I have understood. In narco or narco analysis test, a drug called sodium pentothal is injected into the body of the accused, which transports them to hypnotic or sedative stage in which their imagination is neutralized and they answer the questions raised by the investigator. Here, what happens? Many a times, the responses are not properly recorded. The efficiency of this test is 60 to 70%. And of course, it can be challenged in the court because the defense lawyers may take a stand that he was sedated. And of course, it has to be done with the consent of the subject, which is a mandatory as per many courts, not only in India and across the world. Here, the clear-cut mandate is required. I'll come to the second stage, polygraph test. Now, why I'm making these statements that we often get confused between the narco analysis test and polygraph test. First polygraph test was created in 1921 when a California-based policeman and psychologist John A. Larson Deverett devised an apparatus to simultaneously measure the continuous changes in blood pressure, heart rate, and respiration rate in order to aid the detection. Now, whenever the questions the probe is attached to the body and the questions are raised, if the subject is lying, that means he is not giving the correct answers, automatically there will be change in his blood pressure, breathing pattern, skin patterns, where it can be identified or reached to conclusion, yes, he is talking lies or he is hiding some sensible information. Of course, the polygraph test is often incorrectly referred to as a lie detector test. So there's a vast difference. There is nothing as such lie detector test after reading lot of articles. And this is also recognized, but again, the consent is required. The efficiency lies between 60 to 70% because it is found many hardened criminals, they dodge the questions without anything happening to them. They have an ability to control or keep the blood pressure in control, and often it doesn't give the required results. So that much I can tell very confidently. This is the second step. Third step is brain mapping, popularly known as P300, started with a very imprecise stimulation of brain using electrical discharge in 1800s. With a better control of electrical sources and more precise application of the stimuli, the real mapping of brain functions began in 1870. Now, what happens in brain mapping? The subject is given the questions for his participation in the crime or abatement in the crime, and if he is dodging those questions, if he is not answering, in the monitor you will see the cells, the brain cells, they change the color. That means it can be reached to conclusion he or she is hiding something, and the investigator can safely corroborate with that physical evidence or oral evidence in the court of law. Of course, now there is a development into this. Our own Indian scientist by the name Dr. Mukundan, he developed, and it is patented, brain electrical oscillations signature, BOS profiling. It is a non-invasive electrode. There is nothing as such. Like if you see in narco-analysis tests, there is a serum or there is a drug injected into the body, a mild drug. Then in polygraph test, there are a lot of electrodes fixed to the body. The blood pressure is taken, but it is a very simple test which is now patented, and its results are accepted in the Supreme Court. It's a scientific tool that measures the changes in electrophysical activity in brain having a memory of participation in any action. Knowing and remembering are two neurocognitive processes. Knowing, it refers to the cognitive process of recognition with or without familiarity. Remembering, it is a recall of episode, autobiographical details from a person's life based on the memory encoding, storage, and retrieval. In a simple way, now suppose if I am undergoing this BOES test, I may be asked questions. Were you present at that site when that murder happened or something has happened? My memory will recall that incident. I need not answer. The questions will be raised, and whatever is happening in my mind, it is captured through the 10 to 11 probes which are fitted without invasive on my brain or on my head, and it will capture. If I am lying, that means without answering, if I am trying to avoid these questions, the cell colors will automatically change. If I am responding to the meaning, my mind is telling, okay, I have to respond this question without answering, the cell colors will change in a simple way. And here, there are electrodes placed on the specific sites on the scalp to detect and record the electrical impulses. If you will see, these are the electrical electrodes which are placed. It doesn't damage the scalp or a head, and safely it can be the responses can be recorded. It is a technique for eliciting the evidence from the brain of a person of his experiences of criminal actions perpetrated by the person. Now you will ask me a question, what about the person who has not participated but read in the newspaper? Yes, the cell colors will change because he has not participated. It is coming from the secondary information stored in his brain. The culprit here has a primary information. In a simple word, I am making it very clear. Objectives of BUS to identify the offender, to exonerate the innocent person, to differentiate the actual perpetrator of the crime with the person having the knowledge regarding the incident. So there are two things, actual person and person having the knowledge. BUS report to be considered as corroborative evidence in the court. This is a non-evasive technique. Now, the person behind this is Professor C.R. Mukundan. It was my, what you say, luck or a great honor to listen to him, meeting him twice at National Forensic Sciences University. We heard him for 3 hours. And to all the August gathering, this gentleman, despite his health issues, 3 hours he was conducting a session without any slides and made it much more interesting. And he was with Nihmans. He was Professor Emeritus with National Forensic Sciences University, formerly Gujarat Forensic Science, and he holds the patent for BOS profiling. And he's the author of a very good book, Brain at Work. Mr. Mukundan, of course, he is a living legend of cognitive and clinical neuropsychology in India. He has developed a computerized cognitive retraining program called brain function therapy for brain damages patient and for children with scholastic difficulties. So this is a tribute. This presentation is a tribute. The man who evoked forensic sciences. Otherwise, I was like a Norman man thinking everything comes under the narco analysis test. No, but after reading his book and a book from Deep Trivedi, who is known for, author for I Am Mind, gave me an impetus. Being a commerce student and a management student, you will be surprised why I have entered this field, why I'm doing research, because always this has been part of my eagerness to understand the things. Now, this many articles I have gone through to make this presentation. Article for the magazine, business magazine of Eudoxia, and it has given me a lot of impetus. And the basis for making this presentation for next gen was, yes, this is a part of medical sciences. Forensic sciences is taught in the medical courses. Some people go for a forensic sciences because it is used to understand the cause of the death through the postmortem and other things, and understand. And stimulation of historical brain mapping is a need of the hour. And of course, the next gen would be using of artificial intelligence in an ethical way, as stated by Dr. Salem Mayo sir, machine learning. So I'll quote two good sentences, two statements from Vice Chancellor of Dr. Forensic Sciences University. He says, emergence of human mind from the process in the brain and the associated behavior form the foundation of human civilization. So human mind is always developing, as we have seen from the human civilization. Knowledge of multiple functional modules at the work in the brain is therefore an important requirement for understanding normal and abnormal behavior, whether clinical or criminal. Clinical meanings people having the issues like depression and whatnot, anxiety disorders, and criminal, because my late uncle used to say, I asked him why criminal exists. Well, when the good is existing, criminal has to exist, because the good has to quantify and qualify that this is good. People can look up to the good people. It's a human brain which helps to innovate the process as a part of development for our survival. So that is what I was wanting to make today, because it's a next gen for medical conferences. So I thought of giving my views and my study before the August gathering. With that, I thank each and everyone for their time and patience and listening to me. Of course, it was all my research. I am not a medical student, let me candidly confess. But yes, my study has prompted me to go deeper and understand the things so that my ignorance is cleared. Thank you, sir.